And it'll ask you again, are you sure you want to record? There you go.
Oh,
You're
there it
on.
is.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, welcome to my channel. I have Dr. Marjorie here. Hello, welcome. Can you please
Welcome.
introduce yourself? Just let
Yeah.
people know who you are and where to follow you.
Yes, I am Dr. Marjorie, PHG, Power of the Holy Ghost.
All right.
Why I call myself the doctor. Bringing healing to people's lives. I didn't feel like it was necessary for me to have to get a degree to call myself a doctor if I'm healing families and being a blessing to people. But I have a reaction channel, Dr. Marjorie Reacts, and a coaching channel, Flying with Purpose. And yeah, we trying to get single women in the right state of mind to position themselves for marriage. Those who want to be married, who desire.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. So, you guys, if you guys want to follow her, please do so. Okay, she's absolutely amazing. All right. So, today's topic that we're going to be discussing is on the real Black history. And basically, I just want to kind of open up discussion on, the good parts about our history that even during times of our issues, if you go back to Jim Crow, slavery, things of that nature, there
Hmm.
were some good things that actually happened with Black people. And I just want to kind of talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, what do you know that were good, the good things that happened in our past, in our history that really she really shined a light as to what we're capable of as Black people.
Um, so I would say some things that I learned probably a while ago. We go way back, even before slavery. The I don't know if you heard stories about the Moors, that black
Yes,
people called themselves Moors before they were called black.
yes, yes.
And my recollection is they taught white people, Europeans, how to live among farm animals because Europeans were living with the farm animals very closely.
Hmm.
Like there was no boundaries for the farm animals. And Moors taught white folks, Europeans, how to create farms and barns and boundaries for the animals so that the animals weren't just walking and pooping along, in the homes.
Yeah.
And we know Europeans only, for a while, only bathed once a year.
Oh,
So they had
really?
to, so they learned them skills too from the Moors.
Yeah.
Hygiene, animal with the farm animals, hygiene, physical cleanliness, and things like that. So I remember learning about that. I would
Mm.
like to learn more, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I've heard some of that history as well. I would say, from the best of my knowledge, not going as far as that, but even 10 years before the Civil War, there's a hidden history that a lot of people don't know. For instance, we of course we know about patents, right? Things that you create or
Mhm.
innovate, you can get a patent for. You can maintain your wealth and things like that.
Yeah.
um, I ended up finding out that there are a few Black folks back then that were freed slaves that did
Mhm.
invent things that were made useful, that are still useful to this day, that did receive patents. One of the things that I know that they don't teach in history class, that they don't tell us, is that, hey, they always go to George Washington Carver. He didn't receive any patents for all the things that he created. Oh, the white man took everything, this, that, the third,
Hmm.
you know. But the truth is that he was not the only inventor. Of course, we know this.
Right.
And there were plenty of Black folks even before the Civil War, before the abolitionist movement really took place, or during, I'm sorry, during the abolitionist movement, was
Mhm.
that there were Black people who bought their freedom or already freed
Mhm.
slaves that
Yeah.
did create and invent, and they did receive their patents. They were smart enough to receive their patents and made a ton of wealth, you know.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
there's also a saying that during that time, accumulated all Black folks during that time, those who were freed Negroes or freed
Mhm.
mulattoes as well. Um, they
Yeah.
all together accumulated millions of dollars in agriculture, private businesses, the things that they have invented and created during that time. And a lot of that is hidden from us. And unfortunately, a lot of us don't even look into that history and kind of realize, hey, even during the worst time of history for us, we were able to still overcome too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I wanted to also bring this to the forefront, because I really feel that a lot of Black folk don't know their history. And
Oh
right
yeah.
now we are in a place where a lot of them are really pushing this idea that we're so oppressed, we can't get by, we can't get far, we can't do
Mm-hmm.
anything. We
Mm-hmm.
always need some assistance from the white man. They owe us, they gotta give us this, that, and the third. We need our
Mm-hmm.
reparations, things of that nature. And it's like, hey, you know what? Our ancestors, our people were able to do incredible things even during the worst of it, and we're still able to go above and beyond. And I just feel like we're missing that part of history as well.
Mm-hmm.
So while we taught them things and while they took things and things of that nature, it's like we were still able to overcome it nonetheless. So I want to
Mm-hmm.
know, how do you feel about that? Like, how do you feel about the fact that we don't know our history like we should?
Um, it frustrates me because I know a lot of that is because we don't know our history is why a lot of how we are today. You know what I mean? Is a result of why things are the way they are today because so many Black folks don't know their history. And I just no, probably not too recently, but I looked up a lot of the stuff that Black people have invented, like the traffic light,
Mm-hmm.
anything to do with um home cleaning, brooms, dustpans, washing machines, um stoves, anything everything in your kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Black folks invented all that stuff. Washers and dryers and vacuums, the gas mask,
Mm-hmm.
so many things I can't even think right now, but so many things like you said that they really don't teach in school, things that that you see driving down the street
Mm-hmm.
that Black folks have a hand in.
Yeah, like one of the things that I found to be so interesting, I found, and I gotta remember his name, but there was a man who created the refrigerated trucks, so that we are able to, bring our produce home from farm to home, or to be able to travel everywhere, and that is
Hmm.
still being utilized to this day, and that
Mhm.
was
Mhm.
also, I believe, either a little after the Civil War or before, but you have people who have created things that are still being utilized to this day, of course. And then
Mhm.
I also know that there was uh, someone who also created or innovated, I'm sorry, an already existing um, invention, the
Mhm.
light bulb, right?
Right,
But
right.
when the light bulb was designed, it didn't last long, but it took a Black man to create a way for it to last long, to be able to stay lit for well more than 24, 48 hours.
Mm.
So you have even the innovators as well that saw an invention that somebody else created and said, hey, I think I can make that better. As you have that
Yeah.
too. So yeah,
Oh
I
yeah.
think I think that because we don't know these things and we think it's all about the slavery,
Mhm.
this is just the one thing they always like to pull is, oh yeah, it's all about the slavery. They did this to us, this, that, and the third, and we deserve this, that, and the third. It's like, you know what? They didn't. Some Black folks at that time didn't have that kind of mentality. They didn't think they were owed anything. They
Yeah.
knew what it was. They're like, okay, you know what? You want to act like that? That's perfectly fine. I'm capable. They knew in their hearts and their minds that they were capable,
Oh yeah.
and they overcame it nonetheless.
Yeah.
So I right now, I think in our this time period, this is like the greatest time in our history to be able to do what we want, in my opinion. Even though yes, we do have racists, they do exist.
Yeah.
Never to deny that. But that doesn't mean we have to allow them to tell us what it is, and allow them to tell us, oh, well, you're always going to be oppressed, things like that, or you're always going to be below or less than because of who you are. You can overcome that. You
Yeah.
do have people that may stop you from your growth. That much is very true as well. But again, our history lets me know, that tells us, hey, we overcame all that, and we're in a
Oh yeah.
perfect time, a perfect opportunity to be able to move forward and to be able to, I mean, do incredible things. Look at how many Black millionaires we got right now.
Oh yeah.
even
I think
billionaires, you know.
I think black people are their biggest oppression. Like
Yes. I
I think
agree.
I think black people are their own enemy in so many ways. We want to blame, in some cases it is racism, but I would say right in this day and age, the majority of the issues black people have are imposed on ourselves as a people, not by society, not by um I mean, that yeah, some to some degree society, but it's like the decisions we make set it up so that we fit right into the stereotypes that society has set up for us.
Hmm.
The
Yeah.
decisions we make, the lifestyles we choose to live, and and it's like I was listening to Anton Daniels, and he was going back and forth debating with this woman, and she's like, oh yeah, when we were young girls, where these grown dudes were preying on us, so we were making bad decisions and grown dudes are preying on us. So either you're a victim or you making choices, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
right, you know what I'm saying? Either you
Yeah.
have no choice, either you're being forced to do things or you're making bad decisions. It's not, you can't put the two together. Like she trying to justify um bad choices. Like you're not a victim, you made these choices. And I think that's for me the most frustrating thing about so many black folks is that they want to play the victim. Oh, black folks are, this or whatever, but in reality it's the decisions they're making for themselves.
Absolutely. Yes. I want to know, or I want to ask, do you know exactly when that started? When did it start in our history where we started making these bad decisions? When we started to think of ourselves as only oppressed people?
Mm, that's a good question. I don't know. I can't even say when it really even started because there was a time when we actually were oppressed as a people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when did the when did the so like so I guess the question is when did it when did the oppression subside but our mindsets never transitioned over, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know. Maybe in the 60s, 70s, maybe when African Americans, black folks were starting to see freedom, but then, and then you see the women's rights movements and stuff. Maybe even the 50s, I would say. But even then I know it was still where oppression was starting to recede a little bit. I mean a lot, where they weren't slaves anymore. We weren't slaves no more.
Yeah.
But I think I was talking about this with somebody. So maybe around the time of welfare, because
Yeah.
even right, someone had mentioned that I did a channel with that, or did an episode with somebody. I don't remember who said it, but yeah, like around the time of welfare. Oh, I think Linda B said it.
Oh, nice. Like, yeah, Linda B, shout out.
Linda
Yes.
B. I think Linda B was talking about it, that welfare was kind of the downfall of the black community because even though welfare was initially intended for white women, widowed white women,
Hmm.
they when black folks got hold to it, they had these astronomical requirements, like the man couldn't be in the home, so they couldn't get any help if they had a man. If they were married, like they couldn't get assistance. So I think that was kind of, yeah, I think Linda B is right about that. Absolutely. Like that was probably the beginning of the fall of black families.
Yes. And I absolutely agree. I know the welfare, I think it started mid 60s
Mm,
when Lyndon
mm,
B. Johnson,
mm,
if I'm
mm,
not mistaken.
mm,
Um, so I know that before that, when I look through history, when I think about the amount of wealth and things that happened, black families were strong mainly
mm,
because they
mm,
had to be
mhm,
due to
mm,
oppression, things like that.
mhm,
I also think it's because there's always been two sets of people when it comes down to our community. You have the ones that are strong-willed enough to say, I'm not oppressed. I know what's happening around me, but I can make it. And then you have the other ones who are ready to, usually the loudest ones in the room, that are willing to only fight instead of use their heads, kind of thing, like brain over brawn kind of idea.
Yeah, for sure.
And I feel like the ones that were doing all the fighting and asking for all this extra, like, you need to give me this, I'm owed this because of this, that, and the third, the bronze, right?
Right.
Was the loudest ones in the rooms, is one of the reasons that contributed to our downfall, because they're the ones who took the quote unquote assistance and things of that nature, like with the welfare and stuff like that.
Right.
Whereas at one point, the brains was the ones that were dominating. I mean, we had our own private banks, we had our own car dealerships, we had our own everything, literally everything.
Yeah, they have Black Wall Street. White folks burned it down.
Yes, and it was more than one Black Wall Street. So it's like, we had a whole lot, but it took brains. It took people to say, listen, understand this. We Black, we know what it is. We know they hate us. We know they're ready to lynch us. We know they're ready to do whatever to us. But guess what? We can still strive and push on and keep it going. So we had that at one point. And then next thing you know, white folks was like, okay, we'll quote unquote give you what you want. But we see something that, we can't handle. And that is having a strong Black man in the household. We can't, they were like, okay, we can't handle you guys making more money than us and doing economic growth. We can't handle any of that. So let's just tear you apart, but we're going to give you what you want.
Yeah.
Because guess who was the loudest ones in the rooms? The one that were asking for all the assistance. You need to help us with this. You need to stop killing us. You need to stop doing this, ready to fight, things of that nature, and not using their heads. So they took those people and said, we're going to give you what you want. And they gave us welfare. And it's like a contract. We give you this money, just tear that man down, get him out the house. You don't need him no more,
Yeah.
You can handle it all by yourself, baby. You're a strong Black woman,
Yeah.
And then years later, then you do have the feminist movement. Now, with that, I'm a little mixed on. The only reason why is because you had the feminist movement, but you also had the sexual liberation movement at the same time. So what ended up happening was they combined the two. And that was like a recipe for disaster, especially for Black women at the time.
Yeah.
So feminist movement, I understood it because I think that was second wave at the time, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know.
Because I know this is, right now we have third wave feminism, and that shit is just absolutely crazy. But we had first wave was being able to vote. Second wave was, I believe, being this quote unquote sexual liberation crap.
Okay.
Which I don't agree with, but I think feminism had at a point where it's like, hey, we do have our rights too. So I can understand that to an extent.
Yeah.
But that wasn't really our fight. It had nothing to do with us, but we got included in that.
Yeah.
And that also brought us down to really hating our own men.
Yeah.
And thinking that we can do everything. I mean, I'm getting assistance here, there. The government's paying me what I need you for. That really, really did it. And then it just kept going from there.
Yeah. After generation, mom teaching like, you don't need no man. You don't, they really ain't telling you how to get it for yourself either.
Right.
They just telling you don't need no man.
Right.
But you're struggling and you're on this assistance and you're crying and you got to stay drunk because you're miserable. But you don't need no man.
Yes. Right.
You know what I'm
saying? You're the man in this relationship here. You're the man, you're the husband, you're the wife, you're the father and the mother. You're Lord everything in that.
And misleading the children, miseducating the children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's the bad part of history that I think really contributed to where we are today. Because you have a lot of places where it's single mothers, and not to downplay them, because I think there are some single mothers that really are trying with their children, and they're bringing them around good men to be able to help to mold them. So I don't discredit the good single women that are trying, the single mothers that are trying. But you got a lot of single mothers out there that are single-handedly, I mean, destructive from the beginning, from birth to and because they're trying so hard to prove themselves that they're better. So they're just like, oh yeah, I can do this. I'm good on my own. I can handle raising my son, until your son becomes bigger than you, stronger than you. He has these things about him that you could never understand.
Oh
And you're
yeah.
trying to downplay it because
Yeah.
you've never been raised as a man, so you don't know what it's like.
Mhm.
And you're
Mhm.
so ready to give him more effeminate um advice, things of that nature.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he takes all that and he goes into the world with that,
Mhm.
and
Have
that
mercy.
caused problems too, as
Yeah.
well.
Oh yeah. A whole lot of that. A whole lot of problems. You got the homosexuals
Mm-hmm.
running around, and because like you said, because mothers and aunties and grandmas are raising a lot of these young boys. And so the boys are acting like their aunties, their grandmas, their moms.
Yeah.
No men around. And any
Mm-hmm.
men around, they're thinking sex.
Yeah.
How can I get sex with any man that's around? I grew up, my brother, which he's coming out. He's coming out of that homosexual lifestyle. Like, I didn't have to disown him or isolate from him. I just prayed over him every chance I got and spoke life into him. And the Lord revealed the truth to him
Mm.
about his lifestyle. And so he's coming out. He's thinking about praying, thinking about wife, being a husband, and asking questions about marriage and stuff. So he's definitely coming out.
Yeah.
It's a process, but it's it's a healing process for all of us. And I believe that I want to say not only welfare, but I won't say Jesus is the problem. It's religion. I think a lot of religion got into the black community where it was religion with no power. You know what I mean? Where they just doing church,
Yeah.
and it was religious. It wasn't where we were taught a real relationship with Christ.
Yeah.
Religion became so prevalent, so widespread
Mm-hmm.
that it had there was no power.
Yeah.
It's just religion. It's just something we do every Sunday. We talk church talk. No
Mm-hmm.
real substance and
Yeah.
power behind it.
Yeah. No morals either. One of the things because I've come back to Christ recently, actually last year. And, I always think to myself, when it comes down to the Christian beliefs, we get persecuted a lot. And I kept trying to understand why that was. And it's because we have a moral high ground. So
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the things that we do believe in, a lot of the things that are in the Bible definitely contradicts a lot of the world's views on things.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that is one of our biggest problems, is that we're not really focused in on the moral of it all. We're not focused in on what the Bible says. He gave us everything we needed. So he gave us
Amen.
rules, regulations on how to move as a person, so you can live your life in light and just with no issues, no problems. You just got to follow through with his plan. Um, but unfortunately, we have a lot of people they having a hard time trying to go with it, because it goes against everything. It goes against
Yeah.
everything that they think that they want.
That's why it's like religion is what makes it look hard to people. If people were taught relationship and how much God loves us, how much Christ loved us, he died for us, that he wants us healthy, he wants us to be bold, he wants us strong, he wants us prosperous. And we're what I mean, there is none of that. You hear more unbelievers talking about prosperity, talking about healing, and I'm like, these people don't even believe in God, and they talking about self-healing and
Hmm.
mind, controlling the mind, and uh positivity and stuff. They ain't got nothing to do with God. But God's people, black folks, which frustrates me a whole lot about black folks, is like, oh, they want to call Christianity a white religion, but it's like, what do they think got black folks out of slavery?
Mm.
People don't realize that. People want to say, oh, because what the people that helped a lot of Africans out of slavery were the Quakers. Those were
Mm.
the true Christians. Not the people, not these slave owners that was using the Bible to keep black folks in slavery. The,
Mm.
the Quakers didn't own slaves. They helped guide blacks through the Underground Railroad. Like they would hide black people into their house.
Mm-hmm.
And these were the true Christians, the Quakers, which I think are, they more like, what do we call them now? Like, um, I can't think of the word. It'll come to me, but they, those were the Christians that taught a lot of black folks to read. And the truth about the Bible and Christianity is not a white religion. It was founded on African soil.
That's right.
And so that's, we can go all the way back to way back to Black history. Like if we want to go back to biblical times, they're discovering that the first human beings were in fact black.
Yes.
And because the Bible says clearly he created man from soil. What's the healthiest color soil? It's black. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody growing gardens and trees and stuff with sand. You know what I mean? It's the black, that dark soil that with the nutrients and stuff in it, and that's where God created the first man. And that's not only scientific evidence but biblical evidence of the first human beings being black.
Absolutely. I definitely agree, and I definitely grew up with that history as well. So yes, I always understood that. Yeah, we were the first to be here. Now we're all here. We all here on this planet, and we need to learn how to reconcile differences and get together. Because right now we do have an enemy. I think right now in this history is we really are going up against evil. And when it comes down to the Black community right now, our biggest enemy is ourselves. We have a lot of infighting. You've got what I consider the normal Black people, and then you got niggas. Okay, like you have
right,
and they are fighting. Okay,
right,
because right now it's just fighting for our next generation. One of the things I do understand about our history is that our ancestors, they did a whole lot for the generation that was to come. They didn't think about themselves. They weren't thinking about how can I make things better for me. A lot of them had the mentality of how can I make things better for my next generation? What can I do for my babies, my grandbabies, Right. So right now, within the Black community, it's a hell of a lot of selfishness.
Yeah.
Lots of selfishness.
Oh yeah.
And everybody is out for all themselves, So they're like, screw the next generation. It's about me with my time. What can you do for me? What can I get? And that's why we have all the things that are in place for us right now. The music is horrible. I'm it just is. It's been thrown out like crazy.
Yes.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I bump some of it. Sometimes I have my moments.
Yeah, we all have a little ratchet. We all have some ratchet, get craving ratchety. Yeah, ratchet taste buds a little bit. Yeah.
Yes, but the thing is, I don't actually live that out. There's a lot of Black folks, unfortunately, that do actually live out those words that they hear in the music.
Yes.
They listen to it and they think it's cool, and they actually act on it.
Yes.
And that's the part that I think is one of our biggest problems. Again, Black history shows that we were entertainers as well. Yes, we were incredible, but we never decided to be like, oh, okay, yeah, we're gonna give you this nasty, demented stuff, just for the money. We're going to actually entertain you, and we're going to teach you something at the same time. That was a big thing up until the 70s, in my humble opinion, because that's when heroin was a big thing, opioids, all that stuff, Quaaludes. You had all these drugs that were introduced to the Black community.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it did create some of the hottest hits of the 70s that we all know and love.
Unfortunately, yeah, the funk.
Yeah, the funk. Yes, Parliament and Funkadelic. That's my thing. I might be young, but I know about that.
No, that goes hard for sure. I still listen to some of that stuff for sure. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm more with I can do 70s more better than I can do 80s.
That's interesting. Okay, because I actually like some music in the 80s. Angela Winbush was one of my favorite girls.
Yeah.
Love that woman.
I can do 70s, 60s, and 70s. The 80s, not so much. Not my favorite. Maybe Michael Jackson, but
Well, of course, I mean, Michael
Nah,
Jackson was
Michael Jackson.
always
Michael
every
Jackson.
decade.
Right. Right.
Yes. But I truly do believe that that was the downfall for us music
I can see
wise,
that. Yeah.
due to everything that we were introduced to.
Mhm.
Um, and that's also not just in music, but also in films. Black exploitation films became a big thing in the 70s.
Oh yeah, I learned about that in college. Yeah.
Yeah, extremely sexual in every way, and they always depicted the worst of the worst in Black folks, unfortunately.
Yeah, they wanted to show that they could be sexy too. That's where the money was. And really, in reality, we know that them white folks was going to them black brothels
Mm-hmm.
where because that's a lot of how a lot of them black folks back in the day where now them that niggerdom was hidden,
Mm. Yeah.
right? Because it was happening.
Yeah.
It was happening. As soon as they had the money and the means, they was opening brothels and bars and easy was they speakeasies and stuff. So
Yeah.
that's back in that day. Them ain't nothing compared to what it is now. But that's the equivalent of what we call with the sexy reds and the Cardi B's and stuff today. It was
Mm.
just more hidden back in the day. Now that culture is more put out on Front Street than what's actually going on in black communities where black men are marrying and taking care of their families and running businesses and really living good clean lives. The majority what's put out on Front Street is what you see, the Cardi B's and the Sexy Reds and the Megan Thee Stallion. That's what's mainstream. That was the only difference back in the day is that niggerdom
Yeah.
it wasn't put out on Front Street. It was hidden.
Yeah. Absolutely. And now that it's out in the open, I mean, we see the money that's being accumulated from it. They're making millions off
Hmm.
of it.
There
Um,
was back then too.
yeah, they were making millions
Oh
off of
yeah.
that. Yes. Now that it's out in the open and it's now causing an influence with our younger ones, and they're starting to look at that as, hey, I
Yeah.
think I can do some of those things too.
Yeah.
And it's getting younger because me
Ugh.
living out here in California, there are three major streets where the hoes be at. Okay, you have
Oh man.
Western, Long Beach Boulevard, and Figueroa.
Are you near them fires?
No, I am nowhere near. Thank God.
No. I know that's
Yes,
right.
nowhere near that. But we did. We definitely seen some. I mean, the clouds. Never seen them
Oof.
so gray and ashes everywhere. It's
Oh
crazy.
man. Have mercy.
Yes, it was
Crazy.
crazy out here. And I
Mm.
did pray for those families because I know it's got to be tough to lose everything that you worked hard for. And, a lot of those people had, big families that, and it's all their memories, everything's
Mm.
gone.
Lord.
So definitely prayed for them. And I
Yeah.
really do hope that things get better.
Hmm. That's
But
gonna be
yeah,
crazy. I gotta
yes.
make dinner in a minute. How much time we got?
Uh, let's do a little 5 more minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
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 But yeah, so the reason why I mentioned those streets is because when I drive down those streets, I see the hookers and things like that are
Oof.
out there, and they're
Dang.
young, very very young.
Man.
And I see it, and I'm just like, okay, why is
Jesus.
this happening? Why is this continuing? I thought this, again, we're not supposed to be oppressed, right? We're everything, but why is it that these young girls seem to think that this is the only way that they can make
Mm.
money? A
Have
lot of it has to
mercy.
do with what's being influenced right now. And what's being influenced the most is the idea of, oh, I got a WAP, so I can use it to make my money. I can rob, steal, do
Have
whatever
mercy.
else.
Yeah.
And just our history serves that we didn't have to do, we truly didn't have to do any of those things to accomplish anything. We were able to use, again, brains to be able to succeed our own way.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. And I was talking about this too. Like people want to blame men for sexualizing women, but that mentality is taught to women by other women.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like I learned that whorish mentality from other women. I did not learn that from men. There weren't enough men around to
Mm-hmm.
instill that in me. It was what I saw women doing, how I saw women living, what the things I heard women saying,
Yeah.
not taught at all by men.
Yeah.
That's the frustrating part about that, is that folks want to blame men for women, whatever, how, how women are objectified or whatever. It's women.
Hmm. A lot of those conversations that that these women have in these groups, you can see it online. Go on TikTok, go on YouTube, Instagram. You go to any podcast. For a lot of these women, they will sit there and talk about how, oh yeah, you could do whatever you want, sis, because we're women. We got it like that. They have conversations like that. They open up discussions on things like that. And then they do turn around and blame the men and say, well, men are sexualizing us and we don't deserve it. And it's like, no, no, no. You can say that all you want, but the truth of the matter is, a majority of the time, the conversations that we have amongst each other truly is about being sexualized and being sexually liberated and being able to go out and show our
Yeah.
ass in public, and
Yeah.
being okay with that because it's our body and it's our
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah.
And I never agreed with that. And again, that was also something that was not a part of our history, but it grew
Yeah.
into it. Like
Yeah.
I said, I still believe that we got two different types of Black folks out here. We got two. I'm telling you, you got
Yeah.
the normal Black folks that are actually trying to get ahead by utilizing the mind that God gave them.
Amen.
And then you got the ones out here that are like bronze. It's all about the fight kind of idea, the mentality of, you gonna give me what I want because I told you to,
Mm.
kind of idea.
Mm-hmm.
And I can do whatever
Mm-hmm.
I want, and I hope you don't say anything bad about it. Have
Mm-hmm.
those
Mm-hmm.
folks out there that are the loudest ones in the room,
Yeah.
and they're the first ones to just be like, yeah, I got you, gonna give me this money. But you can always control a person like that. When
Yeah.
you allow a person to take your mind, you give them all power to be able to do what they want with you. And
Amen.
you think you're getting everything you want. A lot of these Black folk truly believe, I'm getting all this money, I'm getting all this paper, but you sacrifice your influence.
Yeah. Yeah.
You sacrifice your name in history.
Mm.
You're going to go down as the one that destroyed your own people.
Have mercy, Jesus. Yeah.
And
It's
then you
deep.
do it for the money. You did it for the money. You
For
did
the
it for
money.
the
For money.
glory.
That's why I'm like, all these young girls that's out here right now. I did a couple of reactions in Sexy Red, and I'm like, I ain't mad at that woman, but I just feel like when she get my age, I'm 38 now. When she get old enough, she gonna look back and be like, what did I do? What did I get myself into?
Yeah.
How could I? How did I? She gonna look back, but
Mhm.
she learning. She, like you said, right now it's the money, and I feel like they know that they pick these Black folks that don't have nothing, don't come from nothing, offer them a few hundred K, and they know that they'll put out whatever they're told, because they like, I gotta, it's because I believe to some degree it's it's good intentions. Like, what, I got to get my family out, my mama's struggling, I got to get grandma, what I'm saying. I really truly believe that there is a heart there. Like, she's like, I really believe that these women are not just doing this just for themselves. I truly believe they're doing this because they see this as, like you said, this is their only way out for their family and their loved ones to come out of whatever hell they're in.
Mm.
So they like, shit, all I gotta say is a few words. All I gotta do is shake my tail. All I gotta do is put these clothes on. Okay, done and done. If my mama could come out, my mama could come get a house. My grandma could come out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I believe it is. I don't feel like these women are just doing what they doing just for the fame and the attention. I feel like they have a greater purpose. It's just looking like they're actively trying to ruin the Black community, right? Single-handedly. But I think there's good intention, but the Bible say the hell is paved with people with good intentions. So
Mm.
um,
Yeah. So the I guess the last question I'd ask you right now is, how can we make, or what advice can we give to our younger generation to show them that they don't have to pursue that kind of lifestyle, um, just because they want to take care of their families? What can we do now? I say, what can normal Black people do? Like, your conservatives more so. What can we do to let these folks know that you do not have to live that kind of lifestyle to be successful and to help your family?
I would say what we all have to do is not separate ourselves so much to a degree that we're not willing to take a brother or sister's hand, pray with them, pray for them, give them tools if they desire, if they so desire. Because though, because a lot of us, we know though there might be two different black folks, but we all got both kinds in our families.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? So it ain't like, oh, those people. A lot of it is our people. That's, our people is some of them niggas that, you know what I mean, our own folks, our own flesh and blood. So I would just say, just taking the time to love on, encourage those in our own family that we feel like have gone astray from what God intended, the goodness and greatness God intended for us to experience in life. Like, love on them, pray for them, give them the tools they need to think differently, to want differently. For those, like I said, again, those who want it, because everybody don't want that. But for those who
Yes.
do want it, because I do have family members reaching out that are really seeking, that are really like, man, I'm tired of this life. I need something different. Like, pray for me. What do I need to read the Bible? What do I need to read? Tell me what to read. So those people deserve the time and the energy, who are seeking God, who are truly seeking a different way of life. Because I think those people that we call niggas, I would say they're having an identity crisis. They don't know who they are. They don't know how loved
Mm.
they are. They don't know how precious they are. They just don't know.
Mm. Okay. I definitely I agree with that. I do. Because they don't know who they are. They don't know their history.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
they weren't taught. They were, a part of a bigger picture, unfortunately,
Mhm.
to destroy
Mhm.
us. And
Mhm.
I see what you mean. They don't know yet,
They just
and
don't know.
I think that they need to be brought to the light, or at least try to save as many as we can. Because I remember, I don't know if you know who Officer Tatum is.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that man. That man is
Me too. I
something
love them.
else.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
he did a podcast with the Hodge twins. I love them too, but they crazy
yeah,
for
yeah.
me.
They be cracking me up. Yeah. Well, I
Yes.
gotta see that. Okay.
Yeah, they did a podcast together, and the one thing that he said that I definitely agreed with is that it's kind of too late right now, and we can only save as many as we can at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
So
I would say I'm like, if you just take it, we just take the time to love on, and just just one person, one or two in your own family, that could change the trajectory of that coming generation for that
mm,
person. That person's bloodline. Like, I got nieces that the Lord has me speaking into their life, nieces with kids. The Lord got me speaking into their life, encouraging them, loving on them for their kids. It don't have to be a
yeah,
whole lot. You ain't got to run a whole program. Just, there, we see them. If somebody is asking for help, it don't have to be financial help. You give them the tools so that they can develop their own financial legacy and their own financial knowledge. But giving them, yeah, man, praying for them, giving them that love and encouragement, like, this is letting them know who they are, reminding them who they are, because they just don't know. And I think that's a whole lot of people's problems, is they just don't know who they are in the Lord. We see that we do street ministry, and we see the people on the streets that, they drug dealing, they prostituting, and they just don't know how
mhm,
loved they are.
yes, absolutely. Yeah,
Yes,
I
honey.
definitely agree. Mm. Well, I actually want to leave. Good. That's a good note to end on.
All right.
So thank you so
Of
much
course.
for this. This was absolutely amazing. I was
Yes.
incredibly nervous about this, but thank you. Thank
You're welcome.
you
Yeah, it'll
so
get better. It's
much.
a start. It's a
And
good start for sure.
yes. And again, ladies and gentlemen, please follow this Miss Marja right here. She has 2 channels. Please give those names again so the folks can follow you.
Flying with Purpose is my coaching channel, and Dr. Marjorie, Relationship Dr. Marjorie Reacts. Just how you spell my name, just like that. You Google that name, I'm the only one that will come up.
All right. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. And now, if you want to add a little tidbits to this discussion, please do so respectfully in the comments section. And like, share, of course, to this channel.
Yes.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and have a blessed day.
Blessings.
Okay, so bam. I think, did it end?
No,